Echo and HarperAudio present The Mind and the Moon, My Brother's Story, The Science of Our Brains, and the Search for Our Psyches, by Daniel Bergner. This is the author. A note before we begin. For a list of sources, don't forget to download the accompanying enhancement PDF from your audiobook provider or go directly to harpercollins.com/pages/The Mind and the Moon. Before he was put on a locked ward, my brother danced on ferry decks. The ferries ran from Seattle to the islands of Puget Sound. This was back then. Seattle wasn't yet Seattle. The boats were battered and sparsely used, and one day my brother, riding across the Sound, wearing a khaki army jumpsuit and little black dance shoes, was infused by the cadence of the water striking the hull and by the engine's varied rhythmic vibrations rising up from the bows and traveling along the deck where he stood. The jumpsuit buttoned up the front. He'd bought it at an Army-Navy store downtown because he wanted a garment that would unify rather than divide his body. The dance shoes had a more basic explanation. In addition to playing the piano with promise, he had, at around the age of 21, ambitions as a dancer and choreographer. How I envied those shoes. Streamlined, nimble, supple as slippers but with minimalist laces, sharply pointed, scuffed yet still a rich black, they were beautiful and full of artistic attitude. The impact of the rough water against the bow created a steady, emphatic beat, and above that the engine delivered not only a churning rhythm but something bordering on a melody, deep and ancient like a Gregorian chant. It was a small part of my brother's gift that he both heard, at swelling intensity, this music of water and machinery, and allowed himself to be inspired and electrified by it. His body responded with a physical, visceral version of a child's wonder as she holds a conch shell to her ear and listens to its elemental communications for the first time. He stood on the lowest deck, near the front of the cars and the slung chains, as the boat's combination of Gregorian choir and pounding drum surged through him. He lifted one foot to knee height, then leapt high off the other and landed on the first foot so that there was a simultaneous vaulting and transferring of weight, followed by a reversal and more repetition back and forth, melded with the strivings of his torso and arms, amounting to movements at once airborne and sinuous. To the few passengers who watched from their cars, his mix of military jumpsuit and elfin shoes may have looked odd, compounding the oddity of his dancing, but all of this strangeness was countered by the broad solidity of his body and by his resistance to the sporadic lurching of the boat, which should have pitched him off balance and made him grab at the chain poles or brace himself against a car, but never did. He hung in the air, stomped his heels on the steel deck, sprang from side to side, spun and elevated again, athletic, animalistic, ethereal, impelled by the pulse of the water and the echoes of medieval worship. And soon he was on a psychiatric ward, with a heavy dose of Haldol seeping into his brain. This is his book, and it is the story of a few of the many who, over the past several years, his story sent me out to find. 1. Caroline was living in a group home when her picture went up on billboards around Asheville, North Carolina.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?